Crunchy, it's Friday tomorrow.
Yes, thank Crunchy, it's Friday tomorrow. Indeed. Indeed.
So what do you want to call?
Okay, so
What we're calling today's show?
the title for this one is this something new now? If that'll fit.
Is this something? Put an E in there. Is this something new?
Now.
No. Yes, that fits. We can have that. That fits
Fantastic.
perfectly. So yes, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is your YouTube ready?
Oh yes.
Right then. 3, 2, 1.
And we're live. Hello, everybody, whether you're listening on the live or on YouTube or on the recording. Okay. So before I start, I don't know if any of the rest of you have been feeling this kind of energy. It hit a peak. That would have been the 8th, so it was 2 days ago, which would have been Tuesday, I think. No, Monday. Monday? I don't know. Anyway, whatever day Tuesday was. Whatever day the 8th was, even. I don't know how to describe it, aside from it's like everything everything that had been in the past, all of a sudden, you know, when a train stops, this is not pretty, when a train stops suddenly and all the carriages just go boom, 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 boom. It's like a bit like that. So it's like everything. It was like everything that had ever happened in the past just did that. It just went boom, boom, boom. It's like, that's the only way. It's not a baldric either. Boom. So yeah, it was very interesting. Feeling all that stuff all at once was quite intense, actually. And while I was sitting there with it, like you do, it's like, I don't know what to do. Just sit with it, Ange. Just sit with it. Okay. So while I was sitting with it, I could feel, and I haven't felt this kind of thing for 15 years. The last time I wrote any poetry was when my mum died, which was 2010. Yeah. But I could feel something. It's like it had to come out through the form of poetry. Not just write, not just journaling. No, because I don't really enjoy journaling. I actually like poetry. I like getting shit down on paper in poetry. That's what I like. And yeah, so it's like, didn't matter what I kind of said to myself. It's like, no, this needs to come out as poetry. I'm like, okay, so I came in here and it just came out. There was a tiny little edit I did on it today when I typed it out. But apart from that, how it came out is how it came out. And it took about half an hour, maybe. And like I say, the last time I wrote any poetry was when my mum died. And I was up in the early hours of the morning, you know, like my brain screaming at me. And that poem is somewhere around. I think it's around on Facebook somewhere. But that was quite traumatic, writing that, actually. But this, although it triggered shit, yeah, as it was coming out, they weren't massive. So the way I figure this is like the last remnant. I've used that word before. This is the last remnant of whatever this is that I'm describing in this poem. So poetry for me, and I have about 3 big A4 books of poetry that I've written in my life. And bearing in mind that when I was at school, when I left junior school, in my report, which somewhere around amongst all my stuff, I've still got those report cards. They were quite funny. That I would do very well if I kept a dictionary with me at all times, because I couldn't spell for toffee. I couldn't spell. My English was terrible. I think maybe I have dyslexic qualities. Maybe, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of autism in there as well, because when the headmistress put that, it was the headmistress that said that I need to keep a dictionary with me at all times. I took that literally. So my mum bought me a little Collins Gem dictionary, and I read it. I would read this dictionary and I learnt words. However, writing poetry came a lot later. That came from, I suppose, the angst that you go through as a teenager and as a young adult. And because, it's that thing, no one around you actually understands what you're talking about. Yeah, when you're saying these things out loud to people, they just look at you like you're made of cheese. So I took a leaf out of Jim Morrison's book, actually, and I used to carry around these little tiny notebooks wherever I went. And whenever that feeling came up, I would write it down. And then from there, I would, create poetry. Some of it was absolute rubbish. Some of it was gems. And I'd probably say about 20% of it was gems. The rest, utter garbage. Just me moaning about stuff. So, I wrote poetry for years. From late teens all the way through to, blimey. I know I wrote poetry when Henry was young. Blimey. So that's, probably about 20, 25 years I wrote poetry. But it's one of those things, I think, where, I suppose you could say, because I write rituals and I write spells. So they're a little bit like poetry, but it's not the same. It's not the same, yeah. You can write an amazing dedication to a deity, yeah, and it's fantastic, but it's not the same. It's not the same as poetry, yeah. So this is a bit of I would say this is a bit of a turning point, actually, for me personally, because something, the lion has gone, and I've gone, whoa, okay, I forgot you were in there. So there might even be more lurking around there in the darkness. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this poem. This is quite a big deal for me, actually, because I didn't read it out to Ian until because I typed it up, because trying to read my writing is ridiculous. So I typed it out all nicely with a lovely border and everything. And it was only then that I read it to Ian. So even Ian hadn't heard it till about 2 hours ago. Pardon me. So I'm going to read it. How I read poetry is a bit different, so bear with me. And then I'm going to talk about kind of where I am, like going through that, because poetry, you could say, is also portal energy, because there's something alchemizing there, yeah, in that, getting that down on paper. There's an alchemization process. So what happens when you come out the other end of it? That's why the title of it is, hang on, Is This Something New Now? Okay. Let me just take a sip of tea. Okay. Are you sitting comfortably? I'm not. A bit nervous, actually. Ooh. Okay. So this poem is, its working title is This Something New Now? There is something here. Uninvited, yet not. I can hear the roar in my ears of things I never forgot. Pressing in, clamoring, needing something now. All those things claw and poke and push and like the bully in the playground. I never was much good with those, more likely to scurry on my toes. But inside, the darkness would hide. Visions of death, theirs and my own, vivid, horrid, stark. I read somewhere that's how killers start. Here, in the now, I find myself pondering many questions on how life has shaped me and how I have shaped it. Distorted through the lens of melancholia? Even the word has a romancing tone. Is there such a thing as happy-go-lucky melancholy? If there is, then that is me. Or at least for now. A final nod to both those sides. A final embrace to the darkness. Oh, and the light inside. The light is so bright. And the darkness pitch. I never knew the two could coexist. At least, not without a punch-up. Is it time to abdicate? Is it time to empty the rucksack? Is it time, finally, to stop? Stop carrying all those things I chose to never forget. Hand them back as you unpack to those who put them on your back. Contract torn up now. Confetti in the air. time to dance in smiling melancholia like that confetti. Is this something new now? Okay, breathe. So, there you go. That is my first poem for about 15 years. And where have I landed on the other side of that business? What's really interesting, so I think it was the day before I wrote this, or it might have even been the same day. I think it was the same day, because we're dealing with a lot of stuff at the moment, and it feels like we're in a battle, basically. Although it's a little bit quiet at the moment, but never take those lulls as a this is finished. But I was moaning. I was moaning about having to deal with all this stuff. When I think my words were, why am I having to deal with all this stuff when I should be focusing on ascension? And I got a very clear, it felt like a guide standing right in front of me, like almost nose to nose. And they weren't shouting at me, and it wasn't a clear face, it was a presence. Yeah. Got right up and they said, this is your ascension. Like that, very to the point. No shouting, just very direct and very pointed. I'm like, whoa, okay. I thought that was hilarious, but also very annoying at the same time. So all these things kind of came together on, I'm pretty sure it was the same day. I don't remember exactly. I think I did write it down somewhere amongst all my books I have. But then later that evening, or was it it was the next morning? No, it was that evening. I was watching a video by it was a YouTube video, and sometimes I watch this lady and sometimes I don't. Depends what I feel like. And what was really interesting is her whole video mirrored what I'd written about in this poem. Like, because I don't leave comments very often on videos, unless I feel compelled to, and I felt compelled to tell her that the poem that I'd written, like that day, she had just said almost exactly the same words in her video, and she was gobsmacked by that, which I thought was really cool. But what was really interesting is at the end of her video, she asked, she gave some questions that we can maybe ask ourselves, because one of the things that her video was about she called it the wounded light worker. So healers who, just prostrate themselves, and I'm guilty of this, you give everything to everything and everyone else. Not that you don't look after yourself, but there's an element there of always holding a space. But then when everyone's gone, it's like, oh, okay. So, hello, where's everyone? That kind of scenario, yeah. So I completely got what she was saying, and this is exactly what this poem is about. All the things I never forgot. So unfortunately, I remember lots of things. And to my detriment, I remember how they felt when they happened. Yeah. So what this is, essentially, this is a cutting. This is a mahusive cleaving. It's not even a cutting. It's a cleaving away of those things that weren't even mine. Yes, I chose to carry them for a while, but they were not mine. Not by any stretch of the imagination. So two of the questions that this lady was asking. The first one, and I think we can all kind of relate to this because I think there was an element in 2020 of hermitage. I get that completely. 100%. If you went in there already, you certainly went there in 2020. So the first question that I'm asking myself, but feel free to ask of yourself as well. Where am I being called to come out of my hermitage? That's not the word she used, but it's the word I'm using because I like the word. So where am I being called to come out of my hermitage so I can rise and create as my authentic self? And then the second part of that question is, where am I being called to lead? So this is where when you cleave stuff away, when you what's an example? When you so you want to redecorate your home, so in order to do that, if you I mean, I don't worry about stripping wallpaper off of walls unless it's really terrible, because to me that's just too much. I remember doing that when I was younger. My mum insisted on when we moved to our new home after her and my dad split up. It's like she insisted on removing everything from every surface so she could put new stuff on it. It's like, to me, I can understand that if it's awful, but if it's not, just leave it. What does it matter? Just paint over it. Doesn't matter, does it? It really doesn't matter. So where was I going with that? So if you are doing all that my mum did, so you have to strip everything back, So this is what this is: the cleaving away of all the stuff that was never yours in the first place, even though you said, "Yeah, I'll carry that. I don't mind carrying that." But then that kind of gives permission, if you like, for everyone to go, "Oh, you don't mind carrying that? Do you want this as well?" And it can be a tiny thing, But then all those tiny things add up to a big shitload of stuff. Excuse my French. So when you have a bare room full of stripped walls and stripped floor and stripped wood surfaces, it can feel like, oh my God, what have I done? It can feel like that. So where do you start? Where do you start? So this is the question. Where am I being called to come out of my hermitage so I can rise and create as my authentic self? Do we even know what that looks like? Our authentic self. Do we even know what it looks like? Do we know what it feels like? Do we know how to be that way? Truly, no mask, Now I remember years ago, I'd probably say up until maybe 5-6 years ago, I could not leave the house, literally could not go outside the front door unless I'd done something with my face. That sounds a bit weird, I know. It might have been something like, oh God, I've got dark circles under my eyes, I must do something about that. Or I've got a spot on my face, I must do something about that. Or, I've got, I don't know, a straight hair, I must do something about that. It's like, it was a bit weird. Where I'm coming from now, that to me is a bit weird. So it's like this idea of authenticity, Who are you? Who are you really? And how do we get to that part of ourselves that is, I mean, This poem is, I for many years when I would research about serial killers and the like, I used to think, how did I not turn out like that? Because from what they're saying, I should have done. The things that I used to think when I was being bullied, and there was no one there. Yeah. And that's, those feelings you have are born out of frustration because there is no help. Yeah. There is no one. And if you're not taught how to deal with bullies, yeah, in a way that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Not creative. Well, for me, it would have involved, I don't know, some kind of understanding about the effect that has on. It's like, do they not know what effect that has on a person? It's quite bizarre how they have no clue, or maybe they do. I don't know. But that was never my experience, I have to say. So, where was I going with that? So yeah, in your authentic being, yeah. How does that feel? How does it feel? Does it feel uncomfortable? I would speculate, because I don't even know if I'm there yet. I don't know. How many of us know if we're actually there yet? I don't know. I think that's part of the ride, isn't it? We don't know. People are guessing all the time. But do we actually know? I think I've broached that subject before. So if it feels, I would suggest if it feels uncomfortable, yeah, to the point where maybe it's making you want to get up and walk around a bit, I'd say that's probably a good thing. Yeah. Because if you've been like me with makeup and having to do my face before I even went out the front door, yeah, the first time I went out without that on, I was extremely uncomfortable. Yeah. So if there is a little discomfort, I'd say you're probably on the right track. Yeah. When it comes to being in this authentic way that removes the mask. Yeah. And we all wear masks. We have different masks for different things we do. We have different personas for different things we do. But like an actor, ooh, what's that? Oh, so like an actor, a good actor knows how to come back to center when they're finished doing, whatever show they're doing. Yeah. Which is one of the things they teach you in drama school, how to come back to your center. After doing rehearsals or doing a show, whatever it is. Yeah. They teach you that. And part of that is knowing yourself, is it not? Yeah, if you know yourself inside out, the dark, shady parts and the extreme light, then, and you're not scared to look at those things, yeah? Because to be honest, the things that I used to visualize in my mind used to scare the crap out of me. It used to scare me because I'm like, how can I be thinking these things? Yeah. I'm happy to say I never acted on any of them. But, clearly there are people out there that do. Yeah. Breaking news. Okay. Dealing with bullies. Program comes up. Hate, anger, fear. Not sure what that says. Then the love arrives. Okay, not love for the bully, I have to say. First for yourself, which radiates out to everything else. Yes. Okay, thank you, Ian, for that breaking news. Breaking news. I do like that. It's very cool. So, yeah. Where am I being called to come out of my hermitage so I can rise and create as my authentic self? So, I'd say another indicator when you, it's a bit like being in meditation. So I was talking about that last week. Yeah. When you're in meditation and you are in that meditative state, everything falls away. I would say equally, if you are creating from an authentic place, which will be here, your heart center, yeah, for sure. If you are creating from that space, is it true that, or not, that everything falls away? Everything falls away when you are 100% in that moment doing a creative thing like this, for example. Yeah, it's not a painting, but it's being creative. Yeah, I've even my camera is called Creative. There you go. So I suppose there's a couple of things there. Yeah, if it's making you feel slightly uncomfortable, you're a little bit nervous, a bit like, again, I'm going to use the acting analogy because that's something that I know. When you're waiting to go on the stage, you're waiting in the wings and the bottom of your stomach falls out and you're like, oh my God. And then you hear your cue and you go on and everything's, there's, that's all forgotten. Yeah. So if it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, I'd say, yeah, I'd follow that. Definitely. 100%. And if when you're being creative from that authentic place, everything falls away. Yeah. You forget yourself. Literally, you forget yourself. You forget that you're in a so-called physical body. Yeah. You forget that. It just falls away. I would say that's another indicator that you're coming from a place that's authentic, that's who you truly are. Yeah. Because let's face it, guys, yeah, on one hand, you've got puny human, you're born, you work, you retire, you die, you might have a few holidays in the middle. Or, wow, actually, I'm this immense being of light, immense creator being who actually doesn't even realize, like, the amount that we know about who we truly are is probably the tip of the tip of the tip of my, little fingernail. you know, yeah. How much more is there to uncover, to unravel? Yeah. So all these things that I talk about in this poem about, the bullies and the questions and the stuff, all that sticky, mucky stuff, yeah, is torn up, confetti in the air, yeah. Because like any contract, you have to sign the contract, do you not? Yeah. So, yes, you could argue that when we come here, we know that we have to sign a contract. Yeah. To have this experience, which, that still boggles my box that we would go, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll do that. Yeah. Are you mad? Clearly, we're a little bit crazy to want to be here now. But at the same time, yes, because we're breaking all these things apart, are we not? We're cracking those eggs and we're whacking the pinatas, yeah, and we're like, what's in there? What is in there? Because what is in there is way more than the shell that surrounds that thing. Yeah, I would say. And all those things that make up the shell, or I like the word overlay. So we were talking about this morning. So the idea of what we experience, yeah, in this realm is actually the experiences, bear with me, the experiences that we have that are from the overlay, not the true nature of this realm. Yeah. Okay, you with me so far? Okay. So if this overlay is illusory, I think that's the right word, then that means that I would say the memories of those things that we experience, which seem real, yeah, but they are of the same nature as the overlay, yeah, you with me? Then that means that the memories that we have of the experiences that we have interacting with that overlay are also not real. So where are our true memories? There you go. There's a question. I'll let that one knock around for a little while. So yeah, how can we, yeah, as a collective bunch of people, if you like, beings, how can we rise and create as our authentic selves? Yeah. There you go. There's a question. Okay. And then the second part was, where am I being called to lead? Well, I don't actually have the answers for that right now, apart from I know something that keeps on coming up in readings is voice. And from a soul realignment perspective, I have stuff around the throat chakra that is extra. It's like a bolt on to my soul blueprint, which is quite cool. So I think I need to use it, really. I used to use it more. I don't know how yet, but something did come up today, which is really cool, which we're going to do, which involves the voice, and a lady that we've worked with before, which is really, really cool. So the second part of the question, I don't have the answers yet, but I think I've made an attempt to address this issue about authenticity and creating from that space. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to throw the doors open. If anyone wants to say anything, share anything, comment on anything I've waffled on about.
I'm just Kevin here in prison in Vernon, BC. Well, it's not really prison. You might remember the song. They're coming to take me away, They're coming to take me away. There's a funny farm where I do not belong, but it doesn't quite go that way. Anyway.
Hi, Kevin.
All is well. I'm recovered, but limited. I went for a nice walk with the doctor. He's a good, strong man, and we had a good workout, but I lost my notebook. I still have my pen, but the notebook was around my back where it's set properly between something, and it kept it in place until this truck had these beautiful rims on it with faces and roses, and I thought, we were both admiring it, me and the doctor, but I bent down and was looking closely, and I bet that's when the
fell out your pocket. Yeah.
From the knees, right?
Yeah.
So someone's out looking for it now, and they know exactly where we were because we were near Armory Park. So that's all I got, and glad to be with you all, and once again for a short time today. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Kevin.
Glad to hear you back on your feet, Kevin. With swollen ankles from too much salt. No salt today for Kevin. From that walk, my left ankle, well, left ankle's more swollen now than my right, but they were both puffy. The poem that
Yes.
Angie read out earlier, I think Kevin might have missed that. You might want to listen back later on to hear Angie's poem, was quite interesting on many levels. Posted on the wall, let's do it later, sweetie.
Yeah, okay.
I'll stick it up shortly, don't worry. Can you be melancholic and
happy-go-lucky?
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a quandary that I've pondered on for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
I don't know about that one, Andy. How can you be melancholic and happy-go-lucky? This is the thing. You have to be balanced between those.
Yeah, exactly. It's about balance.
It's a bit, when famous comedians, what was that Mork and Mindy guy called?
Oh, Robin Williams, yes.
Robin Williams, that's
yes.
right. He was a manic depressive.
Yeah.
And he used humour to offset his depression.
Yeah.
On screen, so he would utilise that as a tool to offset his off-screen depressions.
Yeah.
However they manifested itself. So yes, I would definitely say that you can be melancholic and happy-go-lucky at the same time.
Yep.
But it's a balance between the two. Then,
absolutely.
Like Kevin just said, you've got to balance it out.
Yeah, I agree. Was there anything else in the poem that you liked, Andy?
There was a few things, but there's quite a bit gone on after the poem now, and I've lost my train of thought with what I was going to remember. I don't have a pen and pad by my side to write notes down. I try and use my brain and remember stuff, but it doesn't always work like that. In fact, it never works like that. I should have a pen and pad. I talk to think, Andy, and it drives people crazy because I don't stop. I just don't shut up, and I say, "Get lost." Or Nina from Australia says, "Kevin," like Home Alone, Kevin. Yeah, that's. There was a couple of other things I wanted to mention that you said afterwards, and that's just slipped to my mind for now. But it was a beautiful poem and beautifully read.
Oh, thank you. That's nice. Thank you. Would anyone else like to say anything?
Hi, Carly. Hi, Val.
Hi, Kevin. Hiya. Angie.
Yes.
Yes, there was a couple of things that came to my mind. So much when you were reading the poem, I'd have to do that in front of me because it goes in my brain and out again. But I managed to hold on to two things I wanted to say. Excuse me. One was about. It was quite interesting because as you were talking quite early on about writing poetry, and I was thinking to myself, I call my spells poetry.
Yeah.
Because I struggle to write poetry, but my spells flow.
Yep.
So I know you said that it's slightly different for you, but I guess I'm a sort of an aspiring weaver, so writing my own spells is important, and they just flow for me like poetry flows for you.
Yeah.
So I suppose we're all going to be a bit different where that's concerned. And the other thing that fascinates me, because I guess a lot of my work over the years has been about being your authentic self.
Yeah.
I don't just mean my own work, I mean other people. And the bit that fascinated me was the bit about you saying about until so many years ago you had to deal with the spot on your face or deal with the stray hair or what's the other thing you said? The other thing.
Dark circles under my eyes.
Yeah. So to me, that's a sign of like not being able to be your true self, perhaps because of fear of what people might think.
Absolutely.
when you get to that point of I can go out my front door and I don't give a shit what I look like or what other people look like.
Yep.
Right on, pal.
Because all that matters is how I feel, you know.
Yep.
And how everybody else views you is their problem, not yours.
Absolutely.
I think, that just kind of chimed big time for me, and I really love that, you know. Sometimes I go out and I'm like, two fingers to the world, I'm going out how I'm going out. And sometimes I go out and I'm like, I'm really going to paint my eyes up today, but that's because I really want to, not because I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, not because you think you have to. Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
exactly, but just an utter choice of,
Yeah.
is my face completely naked or is my face got a bit of black on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? But yeah, no, I loved that whole conversation about, because that's what we're all aiming for, right? That's who we are on a soul level. On a soul level, you can't be anything but authentic. Can you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Cool.
And her dog says the same thing.
Kevin, I know.
Mr. Merlin.
He's just saying welcome back, Kevin.
Oh.
So sweet. Nice of you to say that, Val.
Hi guys, I come in late, and so I'm
That's all right.
listening back.
Okay.
Kevin, it's lovely to hear your voice, and for us to be together again, all of us. So just send love.
Likewise, I'm sure, Carly. Sending love to you.
And to you. So I'm going to hop out and just go back.
I
And
have a poem before you go, Carly. It's called Anonymity. Love is like a silly indemnity, a defiant, prophylactic entity. Not total truth resembling fallacy, a golden crown, purple robe, palace. See? Broken hearts and tears from the least from least shiny sea, trapped behind crying eyes, yet floating be. Leave the past behind, unhidden salt me, that's tears. But of course, forgiven for thee, no fee.
Cool.
That's useful. I'm going to need to listen again.
Yeah, I would have said you might need to write that one down and post it up on a piece of paper for us, Kevin.
I'll send it to you directly. I can't post on the wall, Andy, but that's okay. I'll send it to you directly. I'll write it down again. No problem.
All right, cool. Yeah. The other thing I've just remembered a couple of minutes ago what I was going to mention with what you were saying, Andy, about I don't know whether it's directly related to what you were saying, but I found that I've got myself in, well, I've not got myself, but when I'm in situations when I'm talking to somebody, you know, it could be a total stranger, it could be the bus driver, it could be anything of that nature. I found that I've had thoughts, I've thought to myself, I wonder how they'd react if I slapped them across the face. I've never done it, but I've thought it many times. I thought, I wonder what this person, and it could be a friend, it could be a total stranger.
Andy. The guy so hard, it was like.
So I don't know if that's the same as what you was saying earlier about thoughts that go through your head.
Yeah.
We don't act on, but we have them. But
Yeah.
At the same time, whilst you're having that thought, or I would say whilst I'm having that thought, I would then think, they don't know that I'm thinking these thoughts.
Absolutely. It's a funny thing, isn't it?
It is.
I wonder sometimes if we didn't have them thoughts, would we then just act on impulse?
Well,
Interesting.
I think
Yes.
studies done, hasn't there, where these thoughts that we have, most people have a built-in mechanism that prevents us from acting on them, although we have the thoughts.
It's in the front, at the front of the brain, I think.
Don't have.
Yeah, it's at the front of the brain, isn't it? There's something in the front of the brain which stops us from actually acting those things out. Yeah. Apparently. Who knows?
Oh.
Who knows?
I look forward to listening
See, it's fascinating, isn't it? Exploring those dark realms of what people call the mind. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It is, especially when you delve within yourself with the pure intent of doing that.
Yeah.
And again, that's where I've come to that conclusion that to find harmony within yourself, you've got to look at these areas of your mind. You've got to look at these dark sides of your mind. And if you focus your meditations on these and raise their vibration up, you may never bring them out completely, and you may never get rid of them entirely. But if you can raise the vibration up a few degrees, then you don't have to worry about the good aspects of your personality. You don't have to worry about the good aspects of your emotions, because they're always going to be good. So you don't need to focus on them.
Yeah.
But if you don't focus on those bad things, they're going to fester. They're the things that, the dark side, they're the things that fester. They're the things that become resentful. There's the negativity that will manifest and manifest. And then one day when you are thinking those thoughts of, I wonder what they would do if I slapped them across the face right now, how would they react? That you'd actually end up doing that.
Yeah.
Because you've not focused on those dark parts.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been too scared to look under that stone and go, oh my God, what's that? Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm no psychoanalyst, I'm no Carl Jung, I'm no whatever, famous whatever's experts in that field. That's just me using my logic as much as I know that I've come to learn over, my life. That's a conclusion that I've come to. It's not a truth. It's just a conclusion. It's just an opinion.
Yeah.
And, subject to change, subject to information that will allow me to update that
Absolutely.
thought process.
Yeah. And that's the fluidic thinking there. That's the, you're not getting stuck in the dogma,
Yeah.
which
And
is
I've
what.
always dressed as well when I've gone out and dressed. I've always dressed as well as I can. But also to shock sometimes.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was younger. Dressed to shock.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even do it now. I'm 58 years old, and now I walk around in a poncho with a walking staff with a long beard and long hair, and I look like fucking Gandalf.
I love it.
I really have to spread their magic in you, Andy, like all of us.
But I've always had short hair. Throughout most of my life, I've always had, skinheads, short back and sides, crew cuts, flat tops, Mohicans. I've had, all kinds of various, but I've always had long hair, and I've always wanted long hair. And it wasn't until I basically retired and put my feet up and I thought, right, I'm going to let my bloody hair grow now. I don't need to have it. I don't have to worry about having it long.
Yeah.
I've done it. And it's one of them things that I've never done before. So it's an achievement just by having long hair. And I'm loath now to shave it off.
Well, you don't need to, do you?
I'm going to keep growing. Yeah. I'm going to keep growing it. But I do think about it sometimes where I think, you know what, I'm just going to shave it off one day and I'm going to go back to just being a number one shave on the head and just go back to that. But then it will only grow again. And obviously I will think to myself, I shouldn't have shaved it off in the first place. So I haven't shaved it off.
Mine's down to my clavicle in the front and my shoulder blades in the back. And I'll never cut it again as long as I live.
Well, you do know your hair is like antenna.
And I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
So,
that is why.
Oh, no. So, people that practice, so I can't remember what they're called, but people wear the turbans. They have very long hair. Kundalini yoga. People usually have very long hair underneath their headwear. Sikhs, that's it. Sorry, yeah, sorry. And that's why they don't cut their hair, because it's your connection to everything that ever was, is, and will be. I think that's amazing. Amazing.
Pretty much.
Mm.
This is the most amazing piece of synchronicity. So today, this morning, I was listening to a podcast about your hair being an antenna.
Wow.
That is hilarious.
And you could not have imagined that this conversation would go to hair being antenna. In a million years, it could never have gone that way if we'd planned it. So yeah, I love that.
I would
Amazing.
like to say that I've braided mine today with rosemary in remembrance and some random white flower that grew in my garden, and I don't know from where.
Oh, cool.
That was sent by God for you, I think, Carly. And I had someone braid my hair, but my hair is so baby fine thin that it looks silly. So it's such a thin braid that I thought. Then I washed it and it was all tangled. I said, "F that noise."
Kevin, rosemary oil or twigs of rosemary. It helps
I
strengthen your hair.
don't have a clue, Carly. Rosemary oil right in the hair. I massaged, what's that called? Castor oil into it. My hair is so soft now. I washed it today, but yeah, I do give myself a treatment with castor oil for hair.
Just a couple of little drops of rosemary oil. If you can find a rosemary
I'll
plant,
get some. Yeah, I'll look for that. I know what it looks like. Thanks for the advice, Carly. I will do that. Does it give it a scent as well?
yeah, it's in its remembrance. It's like a real beauty,
Nice.
and it kind of helps with the colour of your hair as well.
Oh, my hair is so golden at the age of 68. Imagine that, eh?
Well, bring on more golden ones.
My mom, when she was alive, said, "You color your hair. You color your hair." I said, "What?" But she never believed me that I don't color my hair and it's golden. It's weird. I know my brothers are both gray, but Kevin, the eldest brother, still got golden hair. And I'll take it at my age, 68, with golden hair. Well, the ladies like it. Don't tell anyone.
That golden thread.
Who's golden thread?
That's funny.
Who's this thread that's golden?
Thread.
From my heart, Carly, we have a golden thread, and same with all you folks here. We have golden threads going through the airwaves from our hearts to each other. So that's where the golden thread comes. Much like the silver lining, always look for the silver lining.
Cool.
Exactly.
I like that.
Indeed.
So indeed. So I pulled 3 cards. So either of those cards, any of those cards, or all 3 of those cards, if any of them speak to you about being authentic, take the message. Yeah. So the first one was follow the stream, dedication, trust. It says future rivers and oceans. So that to me is speaking about being the river, being the ocean, being in that kind of energy of that fluidic way of being, thinking. Yeah.
Let's jump in the river together and flow to the sea.
You'll never catch me jumping into a river. I'm scared of water.
No fear. Well, I always hold you back. I'm stuck in the middle with you, but out here in BC instead of Ontario.
So the second one says thank you. It says gratitude or reverence from where we sit. Appreciating what sustains you. I really like that. So that very much tallies with this idea of your authentic self is from your heart. Yeah. So that's what sustains you. Yeah. Your authentic expression. I love that. And then let it rain. Oh my goodness. So we got more water here. So allowing what is, inevitability and trust. So we got 2 cards there that talk about trust. I don't even know if the word trust is enough in this aspect. I think it's more of a knowing. Yeah. Know
How
thyself.
can you trust? I don't trust anything until I see it right in front of my face, and then I don't. Then I learn I shouldn't trust her or it or whatever it is.
I think this is more about, so this is where the inner work comes in, the great work. Yeah. This is about knowing thyself and trusting yourself. This is all about self-trust, knowing who you truly are. Yeah. I think that's what this card. So the word trust is, I think it's an outdated word. It needs an upgrade. And I think the upgrade or that word would be knowing and know thyself.
Or belief in thyself.
Belief is a bit wishy-washy for my liking. Knowing
That's
is
cool.
knowing.
Knowing is better than belief. Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Knowing is almost like a fact. Belief is a bit wishy-washy from my perspective, anyway. Yeah. So that I'm actually done. If anyone else wants to say anything, feel free.
Awesome cards, Angie, and look forward towards freedom for me going back home.
Yes.
Let's hope that happens swiftly for you, Kevin.
Absolutely.
I would just like to say as well, the third card, Let It Rain,
Yes.
allowing what is inevitably and trust. You have the middle card, which is thank you, gratitude, appreciate what's sustaining you. They're all quite linked together in the flow of life.
Yeah. Definitely.
And the doubt of life.
With Danny Dale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And the other thing as well is that, and don't jump on what I'm about to say immediately, wait till I finish saying what I'm going to say, is that the phrase that came to mind when anything regarding trust is this: trust no one, especially yourself, because out of the billions of people that exist right now on this face of this earth, you are the only person, or the most person, that will get you into trouble over anybody else.
Just
Amen raw to that one.
It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it starts off with the common phrase "trust no one," which everybody's heard.
Yeah.
You know, trust nobody, trust nobody.
Yeah.
It's a very negative way of looking at it. Trust nobody. But then the spin on it is that trust no one, especially yourself, because you're the one that's going to get you into trouble more than any other person on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So you know, if once you've learned to trust yourself, then you trust your instincts.
Yeah.
And then once you've learned to trust your instincts, when you meet somebody or when you encounter some kind of situation, you're instinctively trusting your instincts to guide you in that situation. Whether it's meeting somebody for the first time and thinking this is a bit dodgy, or maybe you get a funny feeling in your tummy because you've met somebody else, said something, or whatever it might be. Learn to trust your instincts, and I think that's what came to mind when we talk. Whenever anybody talks about trust, I always think like that comes to mind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I always have to meet someone face to face before I can trust myself to make a better judgment, and thus I will not continue it forward with whomever I met in Vancouver. She walked away, so and dropped off my channel, Andy. You're the only admin with Ann now. The other one has walked away. I don't even she's got her stuff or anything. I hope she took all her junk with her, but I don't know where she is or anything. Congestive heart disease.
I'm sure that everything's going to resolve itself eventually, and you've just got to focus each day, Kevin, and work your way back to being back at home.
Absolutely.
That's the goal. That's the plan, Stan. And Wake up, Jack.
Right, well, it's 7:05
Yep.
in the UK. What time is it over there with you, Kevin?
11:07 a.m.
Right, it's not even lunchtime yet for you.
I just had some yogurt. I had a bottle of Ensure that's now empty that I put my fresh strawberries in that I got for breakfast right after drinking some of the Ensure for 350 calories. I've gained from 137 when I entered. That's low for me. But I'm now at 143. So I'm gaining weight by eating like a horse or eating like a Clydesdale horse.
Fair enough. Angie, do you want to wrap the recording up with a few final words?
Yeah, I would say if you are going through stuff and a feeling comes up, like it feels like a bit like Alien, where something's trying to burst out of your chest, yeah, that I would say is a call to go and write whatever it is you're experiencing down on a bit of paper in the form of poetry. This is not journaling. This is poetry. Yeah, it's different. There you go.
I love poetry and sorry, you're closing now.
Yeah, no, we're closing it now. We're good to go.
Oh, good.